We're back here live at Chaos Corner, watching the A&E biography, reviewing it, The American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, as they sit in an empty arena, Vince McMahon and Dusty Rhodes, and now continue to go through the video montage. Go back to the network, go back to A&E, and this is where we're starting. They're talking to Michelle Rubio, Michelle Rhodes, if you will, Dusty's second wife, and Dusty's throwing flyers out the hotel window. They're all the fans, and doing that promo with Vince at ringside and just saying how pretty he is. Follow me on all social media platforms. You know what they are. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube especially, right here. Getter, Gab, Truth Social, Rumble. I cover all in the IWC. Come on, geeks, sit back and relax as we review AE biography. The American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, as he just got finished elbow dropping classy Freddie Blassie with Captain Lou Albano at ringside in the old TV tapings. And of course, they're talking to Cody, and there's Vince at ringside. This is part 2. Go back and check out the opening monologue. Then part 1 of the A&E biography, Dusty Rhodes, that I reviewed. Now we hear our part 2. We might even have it into a part 3. It's a 2-hour video. What do you want me to do? They're showing Dusty with Crockett in the Mid-Atlantic promotions, going through his career. It touches home. It's family. It's an unbelievable story that we all can relate to. Hard times. Whether you're Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream, the Rhodes family, you're the GOC and what I've gone through, or you personally. We all have a story. We're talking to Magnum TA right now and showing Ric Flair in all his splendor. The Rock and Roll Express. Reviewing about Dusty. Again, I can't implore you enough. Thanks for being here. I can't thank you enough. Hit the like, subscribe, leave a comment. Here's Ric Flair talking about Dusty, showing War Games and how he invented it, the bash, the steel cages, and then reviewing the unbelievable feud, Atlanta, Philly, with Dusty and Ric Flair, and how much money they made, and showing Waylon Jennings and the country stars, and Flair coming down in the helicopter. How apropos is that, the helicopter, Ric Flair? and Dusty on stage singing, and WCW, how it changed from the NWA in '83 into WCW, really the NWA and Crockett Promotions. Showing Dusty coming in that golf court, outdoor arena, sold out, 25,000, unbelievable back in the day. Go back and look at your history. I was 20, 21 years old at the time of all this going down. You see who's here, right? Oh, sole mio, it's the boy Emilio. He's got to make an appearance on Chaos Corner. Here in the lounge, live to tape. Wait. As they show Dusty and Ric Flair. Flair with the pink robe. Come on in, boy. Make yourself comfortable. You guys don't mind if Emilio sits in on the podcast, do you? Raw dog here. Unique, unedited, unscripted. No one else does this concept. As they show Dusty in Mid-Atlantic with the red bandana, the red jacket, Flair all dressed up in a suit, and they're going back and forth, and the difference between the two, it couldn't get any more polar opposite. Check it out. Sit back and relax as we review this. Go back and watch it. I don't know if you can hear anything. I hope not. Strictly, I don't own any of it, and there's no infringement rights here, no copyrights. I don't own the material. As they talk to David Crockett here on the A&E biography. Strictly content. Do your own due diligence. This is out there for legal public consumption. Guardian of Chaos on YouTube. Dusty busted open, gash and blood here against Flair. No mats outside, steel railings. Back in the day of the late 70s into the early and middle 80s. This is where Smoking Joe Frazier stopped the bout because Dusty was busted open and handed it to Flair, and they had all the talent coming in trying to break him apart. Smoking Joe Frazier. Go home and kiss your mama, as Dusty's all bandaged up. You could barely see. And now Cody's sitting back in a nice blue suit and tie, as I said in part 1. Guys, watch these different episodes. I got you into my home here at the lounge. Flair padlocking the steel cage as Arn and Ole pound on Dusty in the ring, and they end up breaking his leg. One of the best angles ever. And then into the Four Horsemen, the attack in the parking lot. People thought this shit, and it was basically with the work to extent real. Kayfabe was alive, lived a life much different than 2023. Really is crazy. Nobody's got any kickboxing or martial arts going on today. The executive boardrooms are empty. Everybody's we're that's why I'm here in the lounge instead of 25 feet below the surface of the earth down in the bunker. But we'll be back down there. I just wanted to get some content out, and this caught me as I watched it. As they Magnum and everyone carries Dusty out of the steel cage with that broken leg and the different videos. That's where we're at right now on the A&E. You could fast forward and get to where we are, watch along. Dusty on the plane or in the ambulance with Magnum TA, with the broken leg. Look how they lived it and sold it and kept everybody apart. Now they're in the hospital. Dusty's got the jeans and the shades on and the button down all the way down with Crockett and the doctor. This is how they sold it. This is how you do it. Again, it's not about, like Dusty has said, it's not about what happens inside the building. It's about getting them into the building. And now Dustin is talking about how he found out as a young boy, a young man, really. Now here's the Hard Times promo. October 29th, 1985. October 29th, 1985. I'm 22 years old at the time. I have the shirt right here. Now here's Dusty with Bob Cottle. Mid-Atlantic Wrestling with the Hard Times promo. Go back, Google it, DuckDuckGo it, watch it on YouTube, the network, whatever. Dallas and Dynasty were the big things, and the NWA, Dusty Rhodes. But as I was saying, this is when Dustin found out with the broken leg and the cast that they would kayfabe in, and he found the cast in the closet and how he really believed up until then. Think about that. This is what Dustin thought and how the business was kept back then. Nothing like today. Dusty in the suit and tie. Hard times. We've all been there, right? It's truth. It's reality. We've all been there. We've all experienced it. If you haven't, consider yourself, fortunate, but you will. Because that's what life is all about. You're all going to have hard times, but it's how you respond to them, right? None of us are perfect. We're all human. And that's what Dusty Rhodes was about, though. And that's why he connected with people. That's how you connect. That's how I tried to connect, not comparing myself to Dusty, but just as my character, especially off camera. Only as an indie guy for 30 years. Hard times. The United States of America. The American dream. What it was sold on. In the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, even our forefathers with all this BS now. Don't let me get on the soapboxes. Flair praises Dusty. Flair. He reached out to the people. He reached out to the fans. He reached out to the business. He was a visionary. No matter what, listen, not everybody loved Dusty Rhodes. A lot of people didn't like him, I guess. We're not here to judge. I'm here to relate and review the biography and give you my feelings. And this does get personal. Hey, I told you about watching it with the wife and who's not into pro wrestling and didn't even really know my background for the first bunch of years we were together. Now gets it after watching some of these A&Es and biographies, especially this one. She teared up. She had tears in her eyes watching this with Dusty. I welled up myself. I'm man enough to admit it. Don't let me down now. All of you have had that said to you, and you have said that to people as they talk to Cody. I don't want to be too serious and crazy here. Dusty with the red bandana and red jacket again, bouncing back to these legendary promos. They're all on the network and they're all on YouTube. Just Google it. DuckDuckGo it. Whatever search engine you use. Again, a lot with his second wife and with Cody and with Dustin and Bruce Pritchard was on this a decent amount as well. Different people that they've talked to and have relayed stories to Crockett's. Larry, Dusty's brother. Hydrate. It's a scorcher out there this weekend in early April, but hang around. The weather will change in 5 minutes. And they're talking about the difference of how Dusty and his first marriage, and talking about his first daughter, Kristen, I believe, and Dustin, his oldest son, obviously, and how his second marriage, and having kids again with obviously Cody and Teal, if I pronounce her name right, with his second wife, and just talking about the difference of being there and not being there in the times, and what you get to look back as a grandparent or try to make things right. And he was chasing his dream, but he was also doing it for his family. But in order, especially back in the days of the 60s, and when he became a family man in the 70s and into the 80s, damn, even into the 90s, although it was much better, not to judge anybody, because we all got to look in the mirror, but just look at what he did. He chased his dream. He sacrificed for his family. That was the life. As you can tell, Dustin's really was messed up by it, and thankfully they came back. And I don't want to get ahead of myself, but you guys know the story. And we're able to do things before Dusty passed. Now, Dusty passed, he wasn't even 70. Again, I explained to you an opening monologue about 2015 and the year 2015 and what it meant to me personally. So go back and check that out. As we're at commercial, that's why I'm rambling on. You guys should know now that when I do this and I'm not referencing what's on, that at 11 minutes in here, and I hope you stay here, we might make it a third part. But this is part 2 of A&E biography with Dusty Rhodes. I'll put this up on the channel. We're at commercial here. This is what they do, man. I guess I could fast focus. Maybe I should start doing that. But I don't know if they stop you. Let me see here. I'm going to see if we can get back to what we want to do here as we talk forward here on A&E biography, Dusty Rhodes. Here live to tape at Chaos Corner. Guys, thanks for being here. I can't thank you enough as I'm trying to see. We're back, and this might help us get through the second part. We're back to Dustin Rhodes. And again, you get the idea of what I was just talking about. And they're showing the 4 horsemen. There's Tully, Crockett, J.J. Dillon, Arn Anderson, Ric Flair, National Wrestling Alliance, and all holding the gold. And here comes out the Dream. This was classic back in the day. Again, I'm in my early 20s while this stuff was going on. And then July 26, 1986, the Great American Bash. This really were the times. What am I? I'm 23 years old at that point, and just looking back, and I remember it like yesterday, although it's that many years ago, here in 1986 as we watch biography of Flair and Dusty. NWA, guys, I implore you, do your homework, do your research. All the young guys are always asking out there on social media platforms. Go back and check this stuff out and the simplicity of it. And you always put your twist on the leg slaps and whatever it is that you want to do, jumping off the roof and the ceilings and everything else. I have no offense. It really was something back then in the day. I enjoyed those times. And again, this is what made me have the fever to never give up the dream. Although I went into the, behind the walls at that point as a young man at 22 years old. And then the pin by Dusty Rhodes there in 1986. And there it is. I believe it was the last time that Dusty held the title as he beat Ric Flair for the NWA World Heavyweight title. 3-time champion, Harley Race, Terry Funk, Ric Flair, as they yell it out here in the steel cage match. And there's the Baby Doll, the Perfect 10 back in the day, and everybody else in there from Magnum TA and the Rock and Roll Express and whoever else was in there cheering on the American Dream. If you will, the Bull of the Woods. Standing up there, a bloody mess, holding the NWA World title over the cage as the crowd's going crazy. Like the Pied Piper, literally walking through the crowd at the outdoor stadium with all kinds of kids and fans and adults following them. And they're showing at the same time how Hulkamania is going into WWF, and that's getting ready to explode pre-WrestleMania, and what's going on in the NWA at the same time with Dusty. No greater times than you guys think of the Attitude Era, the Aggression Era, or even the Monday Night Wars of WWF, WCW. There was nothing like what was going on here in the early and mid 80s between the WWF and the NWA. There just wasn't. I mean, it's just that simple before you get on to everything else. And then Dusty with the double elbows on Ric Flair and Arn Anderson. Magnum TA. Do your research on Magnum. I know most of you guys know it. And his WWE debut is what they're saying in '89, but he worked for the WWF in the '70s. You guys know that. We talked about it. And then his feud with the Boss Man, where he's got the polka dots, and everyone thought that was an insult, but Dusty was looking at the cash, man. He made it work. You give Dusty something, and he was money. He put asses in seats. And there he is as the trash man. I'm just a common man. Boom, boom, and the dipsy do, dunkaroo, grab your crotch, bang, boom, boom, boom. And if you look on my channel on all the social media platforms, and they're talking about Vince and what his vision was for Dusty back then, and showing the turd in the toilet and him being a plumber, go back and look on my channel where it was against the Dudley Boys, myself and the Outcast Killers, and Bubba Ray, Bully, if you will, did the dipsy do, dunkaroo, elbow, the jabs to the old GOC in honor of Dusty Rhodes. What a night. And there's Dusty with Mean Gene dancing. I'm the common man, the yellow polka dots. Oh, any polka dots. Polka dots, Vince McMahon is Pritchard and McMahon. Please. If Vince would listen, I got nothing against Vince. He was a scumbag in his personal life. Who am I? That's on you. Mean Gene and Dusty Rhodes dancing in the late '80s. How about that as a visual? The polka dots, the yellow and black. You know, I'm just a common man. Out there with Sapphire, getting jiggy with it, dancing around. The boy is still right there. You know, from the vision of Dusty in the '70s and the early '80s with the blood and with race and flair and the Road Warriors to Sapphire in the WWE. And like his wife said, he would have worn a diaper. As long as he was getting a paycheck, he'd get out there and do whatever he had. There's a lot to be said for that. If you don't think you're selling it out and you turn it around and use it for your advantage, it's all perspective, folks. I want you to think about that. Doesn't mean you're a sellout, and I don't want to talk about other things when it comes to business. I've learned that the hard way. As Dusty comes to the ring with Sapphire, if you remember there, Dusty wearing the black hat, Hall of Famer Rhodes, 2015, exactly. And there's Stephanie. Boy, does she look a lot different facially. Botox, surgery. Well, I don't know. I'm just asking. They even got Booker T on here. All the different people that they were decent. There were some younger people that I don't know why they were trying to throw them in there about effect and impact and how it affects current generation and what it's done for different people and races and creeds and cultures and people who've never known them or were never around. But most of the people in there were good they had in there, especially the family. But other people, why are they in these documentaries that have nothing to do with nothing? Somebody answer that question. October 13th, 1990, Saturday night's main event, Dusty and Dustin Rhodes, when Dustin was in the crowd and he jumped over and he gave the promo and the speech. I believe that's when it was. Dustin was a young man, 1990. Dusty, obviously, what was he then? Was Dusty, I'm trying to think how old Dusty would have been then. Late 40s? If we think about the year there, and Dustin, listen, look at him, a big hulky, wanted to be a football player. Dusty wanted to be a football player, and he just wanted to be a wrestler. So that's what they're talking about here. And here's Dusty introducing Dustin at the time of breaking him into the business and where it goes through the family and how you see Dustin in this biography really held on to a lot and was very emotional. And hey, that's how everybody handles things differently. God bless them all is all I could say. Hey boy, Emilio has left Chaos Corner. The boy has left the building. And they're showing, if you remember back to the video, again, this is all on the network or on YouTube somewhere. Dusty and the Macho Man in the ring on that main event. And DiBiase is ringside. And now DiBiase attacks Dustin and Virgil. As Dusty's in the ring with Macho Man, Dustin's getting his ass handed to him, busted open by DiBiase and Virgil, if I remember. 1990. What am I at that time? Do my math correctly. I think I'm in my mid to late 20s, 26, 27 years old at that time, 27, I think. 1990, just the year my second granddaughter was born. I'm giving you the personal connection 20 minutes in here. As DiBiase and Virgil are covering, pounding on Dusty as he's covering Dustin when Dustin first comes into the business. Here on Chaos Corner, live to tape. I'm live, but it's being taped. You guys get that, right? I gotta stay hydrated. It's a scorcher here in the Northeast, tri-state, New England area. Cody right now is breaking down emotionally, welling up, tearing up. Not Cody, I'm sorry. Dustin, for good reason. That's how he feels. Dustin right now is weeping on right there, thinking about how he's busted open and the first time he got to appear with his father and all the memories that have come back from, him not being there as a father and how emotional this was to Dustin Rhodes. You can see it, you can feel it. It's palpable here on Chaos Corner. And then we go to commercial break. I got to fast forward through this. I just want you guys to think about how emotional it is. Think about your own family. Think about your own loved ones, and you'll understand what I'm talking about here on Chaos Corner. Live to tape. Thanks for being here. We're going to try the fast forward system and see how it works, because you know how it is on these smart TVs, right? Do I have to say it to anybody? I don't think I have to. Do I? Sit back. Don't go anywhere. Do not go anywhere. I know the attention span here. I get it. But listen, I listen and watch to a lot of you guys too. I can last an hour or so. I'm a 60-minute man. There'll be 60 minutes of kissing, 16 minutes of blowing my time. There'll be 60 minutes of loving, 60 minutes squeezing, 60 minutes boop, boop, boop. Let me stop. I'm talking about Bull Durham. We're back here, A&E biography, Dusty Rhodes, and talking about the effect on Dustin. And there's Sapphire and Dusty in the WWE. Dusty saying how he got tired of it near the end. And there he is with good old JR wearing the black hat and the black jacket back in WCW. He went back to WCW. And here's Bischoff talking about it. Eric Bischoff.
Set the direction of the company from a creative perspective. He had just stepped out of actively being a full-time wrestler.
And there's Cody explaining how Dusty kicked back, how to being a full-time wrestler. Cody was in high school, and there's JR, and Dusty was more of an announcer for WCW and was coaching Cody in middle school as a football coach, trying to be more of a family man. Raising Teal, his youngest daughter, Teal Runnels, and being there for the family, and realized, trying to do things a different way, a different approach like we've all had, and can think about how we've lived our life. And if you could do things differently and you'll become a grandparent or a step parent or a niece, a nephew, an uncle, a brother, a sister, a husband, a wife, just trying to be a better person and learning. And as they talked to his oldest daughter, Kristen Runnels, from his first marriage, came across as a really decent family, I gotta say it. Here's WCW main event, July 24th, 1994. I'm 31 years old, and there's Cody. I'm sorry, I don't want to keep screwing up here. There's Dustin and Dusty Rhodes in the ring at WCW the summer of 1994. And now 2014, there's interviewing Dusty at the NXT training center. And now flash them back to that video as Dusty is pouring his heart out. And you could tell the reality of it. Kayfabe work, whatever you want to talk about, scripted, soap opera, episodic, whatever you guys want to say. There's a degree of reality, and that's how you sell it in truth when you make it like this. And there's Dustin Rhodes in the ring and Dusty telling him and spilling out basically reality along maybe with this much of a work. 1994 WCW, go back and check it out. And it was, as Dustin is talking, it was a legendary promo, and how they really had that real raw emotion, and it healed a lot of things in real life. People don't understand that. It was a different time and era. It's not like that, and it hasn't been in the last 10 to 20 years. Just that simple. I'm going to listen to a little bit of Dusty and Dustin going back and forth in the middle of the ring here. A&E biography review with your old buddy. It's me. It's the GOC. Hydrating. Now we're back with Bischoff, who really came across pretty well. I met Bischoff at the Mohegan Sun probably back in, I don't know, 2019. He was a nice enough guy. They bum rushed him in the bathroom at the Mohegan Sun Casino. He was cool with me. We took a picture. Always take that picture. I keep saying it. I like Bischoff. He was all right. Seems to tell it like it is. He doesn't seem to be full of shit all the time. Cody comes across good in this. He's not the star his dad is, and I don't think he ever will be. Who could be? It's only one Dusty Rhodes, only one American Dream. But he's done well niching himself, and I got to respect Cody Rhodes. Dustin did very well for himself as well. He really has. I think Cody, at the end of the career, will be a bigger star and accomplish more than Dustin has. And there's Dusty and Dustin embracing in the ring in this 1994 video. Again, I can relate to it. I was 31 at the time. And again, I was in the business and myself at this time as a pro wrestling manager doing all the independents. So you can relate. You feel like you're part of a brotherhood and family when you're inside the business and actually have taken a bump and trained and been with stars. Instead of people who just sit behind a mic or have never done anything and try to give their opinions, which they're allowed. A lot of people are smart that way. Even though just because you haven't stepped in a ring doesn't mean you don't know what you're talking about. But do you get the full impact? Do you understand what I'm saying? I think that you do. I tell it like it is. Bobby Heenan and Shivani, WCW. And there's Dustin Rhodes and Dusty entering, tag teaming together. Go back and check it out on YouTube, guys.
That just built, and just stayed with him. Dustin got married to Terry.
Dustin marries Terry Runnels. Terry Runnels. Boy, did she drive a wedge apparently for about 5 years, as we know now. Excuse me. They're talking to Michelle, Dusty's wife, his second wife. And Dustin's admitting that he chose Terry Runnels over his own family. They didn't talk for 5 years. Grandkids, kids, the whole 9 yards. And he changed. Turned into gold dust the whole 9 yards. But Terry Runnels really, I guess, drove a wedge. And whether you're loyal to your family, your wife, you're supposed to be loyal to your wife. I'm not here to judge. I don't know the story. I'm not there. It's not my story to tell. I'm going by what's being reported. That's what I'm reporting here. 28 minutes in of Chaos Corner, reviewing AEW, not AEW, A&E biography, although I cover AEW on this channel. And now here's Gold Dust, October 22nd, 1995, WWE in your house. I was not a fan of Gold Dust at all, or Terry Runnels. I'll say that to say this because I tell it like it is. Although I did like the Roddy Piper Gold Dust match where they were outside in the parking lot. And he made it what it was, just like Dusty did with the polka dots. But this is the dark side of Dustin, and someone else gets in between. You should never let anyone get in between family or friendship if you're true and you try to work it out and through communication. I'm not here to preach, but this was an emotional biography. That's why I'm here to cover it, because it's all connected and can be connected for all of us. As I'm trying to look at what camera angle in here. I got a different camera on today, guys. Different lighting. And here's Bischoff saying that he thinks it was a slap in the face that Dustin did the imitation of Dusty and even did Gold Dust. He thinks it was a slap in the face, in his opinion, to Dusty. And how he did the whole imitation there and kind of, I don't know if he did it for money, if he did it because it was legit, real. So, you know, this is what happens when you expose things. Nothing stays kayfabe. You don't really work it. You get too much involved. And this is what happens sometimes when you involve family into it. Something doesn't always work out, and bringing your woman around. And sometimes it's a fine line. You can learn it from Sullivan and Nancy and Benoit and the whole 9 yards, and Jarrett and Angle and McMichael and Macho and Stephanie and Hunter and Lita and Edge and Hardy and so on and so forth, and Beth Phoenix, and to this. It is what it is to Terry and Dustin, and I'm just saying that to say this. You guys get it, right? Got to be careful about shitting where you eat. And Dustin admitting that it's hard-headed, and he regrets not talking to his father and for 5 years. Don't ever let that happen, no matter who it is in your life. Settle it one way or another. That's what I say. And I have to live by my own word as well when it comes to hard times. And this is where it got really emotional. It really did in this A&E biography. We're 30 minutes in here, so I'm probably going to have to go to a part 3. I don't want you guys to go anywhere. It's noontime, 12:15, 12:10, as they're reviewing Gold Dust and Terry Runnels and what happened. When we get to the next commercial break, I think we're going to hit the pause button and we'll come back for part 3 of A&E biography here live to tape from Chaos Corner on the American Dream. Dusty Rhodes. Perfect timing. Don't you dare miss it. Come on back. Don't go anywhere.